The enigma of the Tombstone Thunderbird photograph has captivated the public imagination for generations. In the spring of 1890, the Tombstone Epitaph, a local newspaper, reported an astonishing encounter with an unidentified winged creature. This extraordinary event, occurring in the rugged landscape of Arizona, sparked intense speculation and debate. Descriptions of the creature varied, with some suggesting a resemblance to the legendary Thunderbird, a revered figure in Native American cultures. Others proposed a more scientific explanation, linking the creature to prehistoric pterosaurs. According to folklore, a group of local ranchers claimed to have fatally wounded the mysterious being and subsequently photographed its lifeless form displayed on a barn. Here is that inside story. The only logical beginning to the ballad of the Tombstone Thunderbird is the source of the legend itself. The following is the exact article published in the Tombstone Epitaph on the morning of Saturday, April 26, 1890. A winged monster, resembling a huge alligator with an extremely elongated tail and an immense pair of wings, was found on the desert between the Whetstone and Huachuca Mountains last Sunday by two ranchers who were returning home from the Huachucas. The creature was evidently greatly exhausted by a long flight, and when discovered, was able to fly but a short distance at a time. After the first shock of wild amazement that passed the two men, who were on horseback and armed with Winchester rifles, regained sufficient courage to pursue the monster, and after an exciting chase of several miles, succeeded getting near enough to open fire with their rifles and wounding it. The creature then turned on the men, but owing to its exhausted condition, they were able to keep out of its way, and after a few well-directed shots, the monster partly rolled over and remained motionless. The men cautiously approached, their horses snorting with terror, and found that the creature was dead. They then proceeded to make an examination and found that it measured about 92 feet in length, and the greatest diameter was about 50 inches. The monster had only 2 feet, these being situated a short distance in front of where the wings were joined to the body. The head, as near as they could judge, was about 8 feet long, the jaws being thickly set with strong, sharp teeth. Its eyes were as large as a dinner plate and protruded about halfway from the head. They had some difficulty measuring the wings, as they were partly folded under the body, but finally got one straightened out sufficiently to get a measurement of 78 feet, making the total length from tip to tip about 160 feet. The wings were composed of a thick and nearly transparent membrane and were devoid of features or hair, as was the entire body. The skin of the body was comparatively smooth and easily penetrated by a bullet. The men cut off a small portion of the tip of one wing and took it home with them. Late last night, one of them arrived in this city for supplies and to make the necessary preparations to skin the creature, when the hide will be sent east for examination by the eminent scientists of the day. The finder returned early this morning, accompanied by several prominent men who will endeavor to bring the strange creature to this city before it is mutilated. This legend of the Tombstone Thunderbird initially generated a degree of public interest. However, this attention waned over time as subsequent retellings by newspapers offered no fresh details about the alleged incident or accompanying visual evidence. The narrative appeared to fade into obscurity until a resurgence in the mid-20th century. In 1963, author Jack Pearl revitalized the tale within the pages of Saga magazine. His account claimed the story's origin in an 1886 edition of the Tombstone Epitaph and introduced a novel interpretation of the creature as the mythological Thunderbird, a being imbued with supernatural powers in Native American lore. A groundbreaking assertion by Pearl was the inclusion of a photograph, depicting the slain creature and its alleged killers. This image, according to Pearl, showcased the bird affixed to a wall with outstretched wings, while 6 individuals stood before it in a peculiar posture. A striking discrepancy arises between Pearl's version and preceding narratives, which made no mention of photographic evidence. Despite this inconsistency, Pearl's account ignited renewed fascination with the legend, prompting countless individuals to declare having witnessed the purported image. Some claimants even specified the photograph's appearance on a Canadian television broadcast or within the pages of popular magazines. Furthermore, descriptions of the creature varied, with some observers drawing comparisons to the pterodactyl, a reptilian species from the prehistoric era. Prior to the infamous Tombstone Epitaph article, reports of colossal avian creatures had already surfaced. In early 1882, the Arizona Weekly Citizen described the fatal encounter of a man with a monstrous eagle, measuring a staggering 7 feet and 4 inches. This narrative was echoed a mere 2 months later in the New York Times and the Sacramento Daily Record Union, citing a report from the Gridley Herald about 2 lumberjacks confronting a massive bird in either California or Missouri. Uniquely, these accounts depicted the creature with crocodile-like features. Unlike the Tombstone incident, the bird survived a shotgun attack, emitting a chilling cry, likened to a hybrid of calf and bear. The Tombstone Epitaph tale was subsequently reprinted in newspapers such as the Sunday Examiner. A San Diego publication in 1890 dismissed the story as a hoax, originating from the Examiner, yet intriguingly, mentioned a local judge's son citing a similar creature. While the newspaper was skeptical, it proposed the existence of a photograph documenting the slain Arizona bird. This claim was seemingly corroborated by the boy's identification of the image, though it's possible the newspaper was referring to an illustration, as the San Francisco Examiner later published a drawing of the alleged creature. An unrelated event offers a curious connection to the Thunderbird mythos. The felling of the giant sequoia tree, General Noble, in 1892 for the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, shares similarities with Pearl's Thunderbird photographic description. The pre-felling image captures lumberjacks in a pose strikingly reminiscent of Pearl's account, arms outstretched, fingertips touching. Finally, a 1901 article in The Citizen recounts the story of Edward Zimmerman, a Maryland resident who shot and killed a monstrous bald eagle, subsequently displaying its body in his barn. This narrative bears striking resemblance to Pearl's description, yet again suggesting potential influence or inspiration for the legendary Thunderbird photograph account. Others posit that H.M. Cranmer, a Pennsylvania lumberman with a penchant for folklore and the extraordinary, might have been the source material for Jack Pearl's Thunderbird narrative. Renowned for recounting multiple Thunderbird sightings and letters to Fate magazine throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Cranmer's correspondence with the publication took a pivotal turn in September 1963, just months after Pearl's first article. In this letter, Cranmer introduced a tale of 2 prospectors who allegedly killed a colossal thunderbird in 1900, subsequently displaying its carcass in the Tombstone Epitaph building. This creature, according to Cranmer, boasted a wingspan of approximately 36 feet, and a photograph reportedly captured 6 individuals positioned beneath it in a unique, outstretched posture. Adding an intriguing layer to this account, Cranmer claimed in a subsequent identical photograph featuring a group of individuals disguised as academics, accompanied by a dismissive caption. Cranmer's correspondence with Fate continued in March 1966, when he revealed a Tombstone woman as the original source of the Thunderbird photograph rumor. Despite asserting the image's publication in various newspapers, he offered no concrete details. Tragically, a house fire in 1967 claimed Cranmer's life, and, with it, a purportedly framed Thunderbird photograph. The absence of any concrete evidence of photograph ownership further fuels doubt about the veracity of Cranmer's narrative. The possibility of embellishment to sustain public interest in his tales cannot be dismissed, especially considering the potential influence of the giant noble tree photograph on his descriptive style. Ivan T. Sanderson, a prominent figure in the realm of cryptozoology, also claimed to have witnessed the elusive Thunderbird photograph. Despite his reputation, marred by the later debunking of his giant penguin track discovery, Sanderson's influence in the field remained substantial, culminating in the founding of the Society for the Investigation of the Unexplained, or SITU, in 1965. He asserted possession of a Thunderbird photograph, once housed within the SITU, but subsequently lost prior to 1972, coincidentally. Pursuit magazine, affiliated with SITU, provided a description of the photograph, depicting a colossal bird impaled upon a barn structure, surrounded by individuals with outstretched limbs. The magazine estimated the creature's wingspan between 30 and 36 feet, a stark contrast to the exaggerated dimensions reported in the original Tombstone Epitaph account. A Pursuit member offered a more specific description, characterizing the bird as a black creature with a slightly smaller wingspan, its head drooping, and its surroundings mirroring other accounts. The circumstances surrounding the photograph's disappearance remain shrouded in mystery. While one theory suggests its destruction in a 1955 fire at Sanderson Zoo, the photograph's confirmed existence a decade later renders this explanation improbable. Another possibility involves two Pursuit associates who allegedly captured the image while investigating rumored Thunderbird sightings in Pennsylvania. A game warden's confirmation of seeing the photograph stands in stark contrast to the subsequent discovery of its absence from the organization's archives. John A. Keel, author of Strange Creatures from Time and Space, reported a conversation with Sanderson in the mid-1960s, during which the photograph's disappearance had already occurred. Keel recalled a 1950s publication featuring the image, describing the creature as resembling a prehistoric pterodactyl and dating the photograph to the 1880s. He confirmed the bird's impalement on a barn structure and the presence of surrounding individuals. While some claim Sanderson displayed the photograph during a television interview, the footage has, of course, been lost to time. Doubt has consistently clouded the authenticity of Sanderson's photograph. Some speculate it was a fabricated sketch, possibly the work of Sanderson himself. Others, like Dave Robbins, recall encountering an artist's rendition of the image in the 1950s. Robbins' subsequent sketch, however, diverged significantly from the descriptions provided by Cranmer and Sanderson. This depiction featured a grounded Thunderbird and only two individuals, one armed with a rifle, aligning with the original Tombstone Epitaph account of a two-person encounter. The search for these elusive Thunderbird photographs has been intertwined with a myriad of other purported images depicting extraordinary, yet still unidentified, flying creatures. Many of these photographs, often attributed to the realm of cryptozoology, have been presented as evidence of the Thunderbird's existence. However, a significant number of these images have been exposed as deliberate fabrications. Mark Hall, a researcher in the field, provides a standard description of the Thunderbird as a formidable bird species, characterized by an impressive wingspan and substantial height, typically adorned in muted tones. Several examples of alleged anomalous avian encounters have captured public attention for centuries. The Bradford Big Bird, a hawk-like creature sighted in England, and the Kentucky Big Bird, a captive giant bird from rural Kentucky, are among the most famous cases. Additionally, film footage purportedly depicting a pterodactyl soaring through the Yucatan Peninsula has added to the mystique surrounding these creatures. The deliberate creation of deceptive images has further complicated the search for authentic evidence. Christopher Smith's 2010 fabrication of a pterosaur capture scene subsequently circulated as a genuine Thunderbird photograph in one such example. Images allegedly documenting pterosaur encounters during the American Civil War have also been discredited. Dr. Carl Schuker has dedicated efforts to exposing numerous fraudulent photographs. A model kit from the 1970s was unveiled as the source of one image pretending to depict a pteranodon impaled on a barn. Another instance involved a photograph where the inclusion of deer hooves in the manipulated image revealed its artificiality. One of the earliest known fraudulent images linked to the Thunderbird phenomenon appeared in Strange magazine in 1995. Schuker identified the depicted creature as a figure from a 1980s encyclopedia. Interestingly, the initial photograph of a marabou stork captured by African tribesmen was later popularized in the Guinness Book of Records. Other images, such as a 1933 photograph of a giant devil ray, share visual similarities with descriptions of the Thunderbird, further complicating the identification process. In the end, it's equal parts fascinating and impressive that a single column news story from a monthly journal in an Old West boomtown with just over 1,000 citizens at the time could contribute such fantastical and fairy tale fodder to the overall cryptid craze that took over the United States in the 20th century. To wrap up the story, the final piece of evidence supporting the original Thunderbird tall tale that might withhold an iota of truth comes from Joshua Hawley, a researcher and historian of all things Tombstone, Arizona. He shared a quote a few years ago that may or may not be the clue into deciphering this 125-year mystery, as follows. There is one strange thread to the story that leaves some plausibility to it. It was back in the 1930s or 40s. It would have been their El Dorado celebrations. There was one old cowboy there, and he decided to speak out. And he told reporters that he was one of the ranchers that shot at the creature. But they misled the story so badly. Basically, him and his friend chased the creature as it flew in the air, but the horses were getting spooked and turned around on them, and they couldn't get it back to where they were chasing the creature, and they were a little frightened too. They never shot it down, they never killed it, and it flew away. This legend will never end. It is a mystery such as the Loch Ness Monster is a mystery. Bigfoot is a mystery. As long as there's questions about it, it's going to last forever. Despite numerous accounts of individuals professing to have seen the infamous Thunderbird photograph, and endless quotes allegedly given by the men who were there that day, concrete proof remains elusive. This enduring absence of evidence has led many to question the veracity of the entire tale. Some have even proposed that the phenomenon might be attributed to the Mandela effect, a curious psychological concept where a large group of people falsely recall a shared memory. The legend of the Tombstone Thunderbird stands as an intriguing face of Wild West folklore. While its origins remain weird, the enduring fascination with this creature speaks to the human desire to explore the unknown, the same desire that propelled us westward in the first place. The Thunderbird myth has persisted through generations, captivating imaginations and inspiring countless tales. Whether a product of collective imagination, misidentification, or a genuine encounter with an extraordinary creature, the legend of the Tombstone Thunderbird continues to be a compelling chapter in the chronicles of the American frontier.